Welcome back, everyone, to the Word Traction Network. This is my daily podcast, Saturday, and this is transparency, but terms and conditions apply. ICE and body cameras. After the killings in Houston and in Maine, um, miserable, just as were the killings in Minnesota. But the difference with Renee Good and Alex Preddy, we had some body cam footage and much more surveillance from neighborhood watch groups and the like. And in the latter two instances, we didn't. The agency had the funding to do it. They postured to the Congress, saying that, well, it was the Democrats holding up funding by by, by protecting their constituents and holding us to account. Whatever the bullshit reason was, they've had the money for a long time. Sufficient body cameras are not terribly expensive, and while they are expanding the ICE force, it still is something that can be financed out of the pocket change of the agency. It's impunity. It's the trying to avoid accountability. Now, Tom Homan is a career law enforcement leader. He whatever faults he has, and the 50 grand in the kava bag aside, corruption runs up and down the administration in every nook and cranny. But he knows, he's old enough to know better, and he's a real cop. And body cams, this is not an exotic request. This is not cutting edge technology. This is mandatory for agencies all across the world engaged in policing. So it's necessary, and what we really need. All this defund ICE, defund this, fund it, change it, defund Trump's ICE, but not ICE more generally. All the silliness, the up and the down, and the word salad. What we need to do, of course, is to insist that every single officer, before they are allowed to go out for a shift, has a functioning body cam on their person, tested and working. Now, the latest, what got my attention last night when I was reading about this subject, is that ICE is suggesting, through the good offices of Mark Wayne Mullen, who is, Kristi Noem's successor, former senator, Oklahoma, and absolutely zero law enforcement experience. The game that they're playing now is, we'll release the footage from the body cams just so long as it's not prejudicial towards the officer or the agency, like in the case of, I don't know, murder. So obviously that would render the whole purpose for wearing the camera moot. It's a silly thing to even say, even if that's what they were instructing their agents to do on the down low. To actually say that, just it exemplifies the impunity that every single agency feels, because all they have to do is look to the top and see the President of the United States stealing with both hands every single day and then pardoning everyone else. So they feel absolutely no compunction to follow the law. But think about that. That Mark Wayne Mullen is going to be able to say, that particular video is a little bit rough on the eyes. That's a little bit prejudicial. It makes our officer that fired 12 bullets into that bystander, people might get the wrong impression. So I'm going to not allow that to be released. And going back to uh, was it Metro Surge in Chicago? Metro Surge, and there was Judge Ellis who got inserted into the misbehaving ICE agents in Chicago, and I think I think Judge Ellis is a she, and my apologies, but gender not really mattering in this case. It's a judge. That the judge demanded that every ICE agent, because of the terrible injustices that were committed on citizens in Chicago, demanded that the cameras be worn. And what they did, they came back to her court. This is back in 25, where she ruled in October, November that I need to see the footage from September. They said, we got it, no problem. And then they went back to court and they said, oh, no, we just deleted everything. So, sorry. And again, impunity. And it flows from the top. And the message that Donald Trump is sending each and every day when he pardons another insurrectionist or a Tate brother or any other fucking idiot that doesn't deserve any consideration whatsoever, let alone a unconditional pardon. But J6 on down, that just says, "I got your back. You'll get a pardon, and you probably are going to get paid too. So just listen to me. Keep an eye, look out for your boy." And that's Donald Trump's message is that he's going to take care of the people that commit crimes to support his presidency. It's miserable, but it is where we are, and it's just something we need to remind ourselves of every day. Stories like this, with we'll show you the tape if it's all flowers and bunny rabbits. Other than that, then probably won't show you. Get judges involved and try to fight with them again about wider use of the body cams, mandatory use at all times. But they can't even give us trained agents. They arm them. Broken body cams, no training, and get out on the street and make your quota. Bad shit's going to happen. And it has over and over again. And that doesn't even take into account those that were killed in the detention centers, allegations of rape of young female prisoners that are then sent to Dilley and there are documented cases of young women detainees that are then with child after sexual assault by ICE officers. Very troubling. Very troubling. The only way to break this feeling of impunity is to get new cops on the beat. The only way to get new cops on the beat is to have a victory, a resounding victory, or some sort of victory in November. Pray for the Senate too, but at least a 20 plus seat win in the House, and start holding hearings and getting it on blast, telling everybody the truth of what's really been happening in your name and with your tax dollars, and put it on repeat. All you have to do is Donald J. Trump's corruption, the Epstein files. Todd Blanche was approved, I think, officially, wasn't it, at about 4:00 this morning? Was the final, officially. Everything in the dead of night, and the senators all run for the airport and leave for the August recess because they don't want to face reporters' questions. Of course, they're going to get some at home, but it'll be perhaps a little bit more collegial with hometown, Dakota journalists who've covered John Thune for decades are going to perhaps be a little less aggressive, asking these really hard questions. Mike, fucking Grinder Mike Johnson he's already at home. So the only positive news as they ran for the airport is that no action on the SAVE Act. So with just the passage of time, perhaps no court would want to touch that with what when they by the time they return to town late. Labor Day is late this year, and all of a sudden we're in the middle of September. Is any court wanting will any court want to rule that that a change to the national voter ID policy that couldn't possibly implement it? You can't get a passport in that amount of time. You can't get an updated real ID. You can't get a copy of your birth certificate. So how are you going to? Like I've said before on this, I am not against voter ID. It's common sense, but only in a way that doesn't disfavor people that are of limited means. We've talked about before, a new passport is $165, and it takes time. And you got to go and get the pictures taken. And, it's just, it runs up against life and family finances. If they are being honest, and these are politicians, so that's a big if, then the only way to do it reasonably is to have a combined sort of voter ID passport thing. And each American citizen of voting age will be entitled to a free passport and implement the law in such a way that you set a date certain, whether it be for the 2030 midterms or the 2032 general, giving people and states and the passport agency and the U.S. Postal Service, which is looks like they're about to file the equivalent of bankruptcy again under under Postmaster General Bates Steiner, who is in Trump's pocket and will do whatever he can do to disrupt the mail-in voting. And we've already heard about his plans to try to suggest that those that states that didn't provide their voter rolls, that those mail-in ballots won't be received or processed. And of course, they're already in the mail in some places. So that'll be troubling. But I think that the disruption from Steiner will be it's already been put on the back burner by the lower courts, and I don't think that they will get any different reaction from the Supreme Court if they should get there, in fact, before the election. But you can never count them out. They're going to try lots of dastardly deeds to mess around with the elections. But this is just this. I guess the title again was transparency. It terms and conditions apply. A body camera showing a U.S. law enforcement duly sworn officer of the United States who shoots and kills, as Tom Homan tried to argue that, hey, I'm in favor of the cameras because they prove law enforcement in the right more often than not. And that's fine. That's a good argument if he believes it. Go on with you, Tom. Congratulations. But just get it done. You know, you're not on the street. You're on desk duty until you've got a functioning camera. Congress, of course, everybody's gone, but they have to get a hold of this. Obviously, if Democrats Democratic Party take control in November, it's very easy to have hearings. And the president still has the veto power. I understand that, but you can put tremendous pressure on it and put it on blast in the public and saying all we're asking is you don't hire officers with anger issues and then not train them and arm them with weapons and no further review, that you act responsibly and you wear the body cameras, and that data, that evidence that of what transpires in an arrest has to be available. You know, proper procedure, court orders, chain of custody, etc. Yeah, but we need that. And the way they've behaved, they've waived any right to argue with that point because they fucked it up themselves. So yeah. Anyways, it's going to be another 90 something today. Yesterday was 97 in northern Massachusetts. It was very hot. Massachusetts hot, not real world South Florida, Africa, that kind of thing. But hot enough. And dog displeased with the heat because, of course, he can't take off his little coat, although he's got a nice summer cut. I'm going to take him out nice and early, let him frolic gently with his boyfriends and girlfriends, and get him in where it's safe. Wishing you all a beautiful day. Kindly, I've got some more stuff that I owe after my episode yesterday with, let's see. Well, anyways, I've more to follow over the weekend, and I'd be kind enough to subscribe, restack, share on another platform, comment, questions, whatever you got. It's great. I'm going to turn this a little bit before, see if I can do this without effing it up. Thank you for your time, and we'll catch you perhaps tomorrow, if not on Monday again. Thank you.